Next, we're going to take 5 minutes to coach the air squat. The difference between teaching and coaching is that teaching is showing them what the movement is, and then coaching is about proper form and correcting fixes, seeing poor movement, and also the class moving with your voice, so that way you can catch those faults when we have big classes. So we're going to coach the squat in 5 minutes or less. So I'm going to use Liz here as my model. So Liz, you are class. And so what we want to achieve here, and let's move a little bit closer this way. All right, so class, I want your heels to be under your shoulders, about shoulder width. Toes can be slightly turned out. And then next, I want those hands to be above the eyes, getting at this nice tight position of a straight arm versus a loose and relaxed arm. Get your core tight. From here, I'm gonna have you boop your butt back like a hip hinge, and then slowly descend into your full range squat. Those knees are tracking over the toes, and stand. Good. Now this time, what I want you to focus on is keeping this butt squeezed, and when you tilt and lower, keep the butt tight. So thumbs up, ready, and squat, keeping the butt squeezed, and then stand. And this next time, what I want you to focus on is keeping that lower position of your squat, not too low and sagging, but actually a little bit propped up. Hands are up, belly is tight, squeeze your butt, and squat. Good, and we're gonna hover just right below the parallel, and then stand. Excellent. All right, so class looks good, and that's actually less than 1 minute. It is very little bit of time when we're dealing with some of these body weight movements. However, this is gonna be somewhat different each time that you teach it within the cueing, because I'm looking at class. And when I see somebody doing something that needs to be fixed, I'm gonna announce that to the whole class. So if Liz goes back into her air squat, and I see somebody squat down with the knees first, and then their hips, I'm gonna wanna change that fault. I may talk to the whole class about hip hinging and squatting, but I'm gonna keep my eye on that person. So if they still do it on the next rep, I'm gonna zoom into that client, talk to them one-on-one, and then pull out. That way we don't embarrass them, yell at them across the room, and that they know that we got their back, right? Or sometimes I might see somebody with their elbows and chest dropped. So if Liz brings her arms up, and as she descends, go ahead and squat down, we might actually see her chest and elbows. Can you even be more like hunchy? Yeah, so she's looking down, her chest is hunchy, and let's stand up. So what I'm gonna do is cue the class to stand back up. I'm gonna tell everybody to, number one, keep their eyes forward. You can see that when I told her to slouch, she automatically looked down. And so if you keep your eyes ahead, it's gonna help you keep an upright posture. The second thing is if she kept that tight arm position, that's building tension from your shoulders through the core, and it actually helps give you better core stability. So there's a couple of faults that we might see. Lastly, coming up onto the toes and not staying into the heels. So let's just say her hands are up, and as she comes forward, oftentimes people stay really upright and they don't have the ankle and calf range, and so they end up getting upwards onto their toes. Can you show us like real quick that, yeah, see how she's trying to stay upright, she's lacking range, and the heels are up. Go ahead and stand. There's 2 ways we can fix this. Number one, we can have her hinge much more forward. So can you go to the side angle? So if I see this, the first thing I usually do is tell them to lean more forward. So you can have your thumbs above your eyes, and then let's get a really big hip hinge as you push your hips back and chest kind of like leans forward, almost like a deadlift. Yep, and now she's going to drop with those knees tracking, and then this is usually gonna help people stay back in the heel. And oftentimes, can you raise your hips up a little bit? Even more, like drop your chest. Good. A vertical shin angle is gonna help people stay on their heels and reach that position. Go ahead and stand. But you can see that that's gonna be a real struggle when we get to overhead squats and front squats. So the mobility work is something that we can then tell our clients, hey, if you work on calf stretches, ankle flossing with the band, and just a general like heel cord smash, it won't be magic in one day, but that client over a period of weeks or months will start seeing small victories. All right, so we just kind of covered a lot of just common faults within the air squat, and of course that whole thing should take less than 5 minutes, but I wanted to make sure we covered all of those faults. Thanks, Liz.